Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. Our first one comes from DoFan9915. Am I the beehole for telling my brother his mistake wasn't in remarrying, but in how he handled the process? My brother Frank, a 40-year-old male, was widowed 6 years ago. 2 years ago, he got remarried to Emily, a 38-year-old female. Frank has 3 children with his first wife, Ava, a 14-year-old female, Noah, a 13-year-old female, and Harley, a 10-year-old male. Emily also has a son, a 9-year-old male, and a stepdaughter from her ex-husband, who she has custody of, a 12-year-old female. Frank and Emily started dating just before the pandemic hit. The kids were not aware of the fact that Frank was dating. He told them 2 months before the wedding. It was a month later he announced that he was getting married, and Emily and her kids were moving in. Frank's kids have adapted worse than Emily's kids. The kids have refused to take part in family activities, are distant and cold with Emily, and her kids have yelled at my brother multiple times, accusing him of replacing their mom, and saying F Emily. They don't care about Emily, they do not want Emily, etc., etc. Frank, Emily, and Ava, Noah, and Harley have started attending family counseling 7-ish months or so now. They have seen 3 therapists thus far. Because the kids would sit and sulk, per Frank's own words, and would not open up or engage, and each time the therapist ends up just talking to Frank and Emily. Frank started to complain about how mad the kids are at him. He said they were selfish for expecting him to stay single for the rest of his life. He said he's tired of them making no effort to make the blended family work. He says he hates how they work against it, and he hates how people treat him like he made a mistake when he remarried. He wanted to know if he wasn't entitled to happiness, etc., etc. I listened to him vent countless times. Last time he told me that I had something to say, then I should just say it. I told him his mistake was never in remarrying, but in how he did it. He only told the kids he was dating 2 months prior to his wedding, and told him a month later he was getting married, and 3 people were moving in, and then married in 2 months' timeline, when everything was still very new and strange to them. I told him most kids will struggle with the idea of their parent moving on after the divorce, or the death of a parent. That's why people usually spend years dating and getting the kids adjusted so they have time to process and work through their feelings, to work through the fresh wave of grief that hearing news like this would bring. I said dating and letting everyone get to know each other over a period of time and helping the kids through this is the best way to make a blended family. He got mad at me and told me he shouldn't have to adjust his timeline for anyone, not even his kids. I asked him how he'd feel to hear if dad is dating someone 30 years after our mom died. He told me there's no way dad would do that, and F me for even suggesting it. I told him, so he'd have a problem with it. But he can't understand his kids having a problem with him doing it. He told me it's not the same. And he's not judging dad, but I'm judging him, and that makes me a beehole. Am I the beehole? Hi OP, you're not the beehole. I actually agree with you on what you said. He moved way too fast and just thrusted all this heavy stuff on those kids. Like you said, you gotta have an adjusting time. You gotta get them used to the woman he's marrying, their kids, and that's gonna take years for them to finally be okay with it and not see her as, hostile. And of course, the kids are gonna act out. Like you said, you basically shook up their entire world, moved these people in on them, and just gave them a month warning. That's a lot. And also, your brother's kind of a beehole for saying that whole I shouldn't have to adjust my timeline for anyone, even my kids. I'm sorry, dude. Your kids have top priority over everything. Your kids' happiness and keeping them healthy and happy. You're messing them up mentally. I can see that already by taking them to therapy. OP, you're right. I don't know what's gonna happen to your brother though, because it sounds like he's hell bent on doing what he wants to do and screw the kids, right? Our next one comes from Family Falling Gap. Am I the beehole for telling my sister it's her own fault her family is a mess because she wanted to adopt? My sister, Lucy, a 38-year-old female, has always wanted a big family. She and her husband Tom, a 40-year-old male, had their son Logan, now age 9. But due to complications, Lucy couldn't have more kids. Lucy was devastated. About 3 years ago, she and Tom decided to adopt. Tom never outright said he didn't want to go through with it, but was clear to see that he didn't care one way or the other, and just wanted Lucy to be happy. Logan said he didn't want a sibling. Lucy brushed over all of these comments with the "they'll get on board eventually" attitude. Long story short, they were eventually matched with a boy, Jack, who is now 11. Lucy said they all bonded, but Jack has behavioral issues. And whenever I saw them, I picked up on the fact over time, Tom seemed to be getting less and less keen. And many times when it was just the adults, he commented on his worry that Jack had latent issues because of his traumatic past. Lucy adored Jack and rubbished these concerns. I brought up Tom's hesitation, but Lucy said it was just taking longer for him to bond. They officially adopted Jack about a year ago, and since then things have fallen apart. Jack's behavior has either gotten a lot worse, or Lucy wasn't speaking about it as much before, but it's clear Tom is at his wits' ends, and according to Lucy, he works late constantly, and wherever Jack has a tantrum, he helps Lucy calm him down, and then takes Logan and leaves the house. Logan now hates Jack, and won't play with him, which causes more issues, and he started to act out. He spent his last holiday with my family and is set to spend Christmas with us again, because even the family therapist says it's good for him to have some space. Having seen all this unfold has been heartbreaking. Tom and Logan look more miserable every time I see them. And though Lucy would never admit it, she does too. Whenever I speak to her, she talks about how hard it is, but always has Tom and Logan at fault. She has never taken any accountability for the fact that she didn't listen to anyone's concerns. She called me a couple days ago to discuss plans for Christmas, and when Tom would be dropping off Logan at my home. She again started ranting about how Tom has basically shut down at home with her and Jack, and how she thinks he's going to leave. She was calling him every name in the book, and then started saying she was disappointed that Logan doesn't love Jack, and she can't believe she raised a bully. I lost it, and I told her the real bully was her. She bullied her family into adoption, as a form of wish fulfillment, and Tom shouldn't have indulged her, but most of the blame falls on her for destroying her family. She screamed and cried and eventually called me evil and hung up. My parents are now saying I was the beehole for telling her that, even though we all think it. But I think she needed to hear it, and to stop blaming her own child for being unhappy in the chaos she has created. Edit, for everyone saying I said or implied that Tom is blameless. I didn't. I said that Lucy and Tom share the blame, but I do think most of it lies with her. Who I don't think has any blame, no matter how much she's trying to place it on him, is Logan. Hi OP, I'm gonna say you're not the beehole. She's obviously been venting you and saying how hard it is. But I don't understand the edit, because you say in the story that Tom shouldn't have indulged her, but most of this falls on her, which I agree. Tom should have put his foot down and said no, because it sounds like he wasn't interested in adopting a child, and not letting his wife run rampant over him like that. But yeah, I agree with you. The person I feel the most bad about is Logan and Jack, the adopted child, in this, because they don't deserve any of this. I don't know how adoption works, but I think you might have to give back the kid. Can you do that? I assume you can do that. And if she wants to save her marriage, because from what it sounds like, the husband's checking out. He's about to eject. If she wants to lose everything, that's up to her, I guess. But I'm glad you told her. But it sounds like she's someone who's used to getting her way, and she's not going to listen to anyone because she believes she's in the right. I mean, like you said, she's not blaming herself. That's a sign of that to me. And our next one comes from OK Term 4390. Am I the beehole for wanting my girlfriend to cook for me after I gave her food poisoning? My girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years, and we moved in April. She is a great cook and learned from her Italian grandma, but she can make almost anything under the sun, traveled a lot when she was younger, and loves Asian food the most. I thought I was a good cook, but she says my cooking is terrible. She took over cooking now that we live together, and tried to teach me, but got impatient because she thought I wasn't trying. I am, but she gets mad when I don't do it the first time. I don't think she's that great of a teacher. She got mad because I didn't check if my chicken was done by cutting into it and making sure it isn't pink. I usually just poke it, like she does, but she insists I should cut into it because I'm not very experienced. Recently, she's wanted me to cook once a week, and I've been trying, even though it's clearly not coming out well. She's a way better cook. Why doesn't she just cook? She clearly enjoys it, but she insists I have to learn. I can feed myself, but I don't feel the need to get as good as her. Clearly her food is better, but I can survive on my own cooking, so it should be good enough for me. Anyway, I cooked chicken and broccoli, and she ate a few pieces and then got upset and cut the chicken. It was pink. She got really angry and yelled at me for trying to give her food poisoning. It's clearly just a mistake, and I apologized, but she's had diarrhea for a few days and had to miss work. Now she won't cook for me and just cooks for herself. I usually eat out now that she doesn't pack me Tupperware, and it's really sad. It's one of the things I really enjoyed, sitting down for lunch and seeing what she made for me. I told her she is punishing me for no reason. She got mad and told me I intentionally didn't cook the chicken right, and I'm always expecting her to cook like I'm a kid. I'm pretty pissed by her comments, and we argued over it, but I guess it's her right not to cook for me. Looking down in the comments, I'm seeing a lot of people saying OP's the beehole, and I agree with them to a point, but I also think OP's girlfriend is also the beehole too. He more than her, but she has a little bit of beehole on her. Because I agree with the girlfriend that everyone should learn how to cook. I don't care who or what you are, you need to learn how to cook. It's a skill you need to have, and it'll help you, with your health and all that. And it'll stop you from eating out every day, which I went through that phase. It's not a good feeling your heart slow down in your chest while you're trying to work. Because I was eating McDonald's every day. So, and I'll say you're a beehole expecting her to cook every day for you, which I mean, it does kind of suck you lose the lunch because it sounds like she makes some good food, and I love Asian food too, which is why that's the food I try to learn how to cook every time I'm trying to learn a new dish. But where your girlfriend's the beehole is when she's teaching you. She needs to learn how to be patient. Cooking is not easy. Now, I'm going to shame you a bit. Why don't you just cut the chicken? I've cooked chicken multiple times, and I still cut the chicken because I don't want to eat pink chicken. That's obvious. Come on, man, cut the chicken. And her not cooking a big enough portion for you, that's childish and that's mean. You know what you guys need to do? You both need to stop acting like children. Sit down and talk it out. Cause yeah, I totally believe, like I'm not being sarcastic or anything. I believe you weren't going, hey, I'm going to poison my girlfriend and give her diarrhea for days. I don't believe that at all. I believe you genuinely messed up, but you need to pay more attention, man. And who doesn't check if the chicken's pink? Come on. Yeah, both of you just need to sit down and talk this out, because this just sounds foolish. And our next one comes from Virtual Goat 4355. Am I the beehole for telling my brother the reason his kid is bullied and unpopular is due to him? My brother is the type who would decide to be their true self without anyone's opinions. He expresses this a ton with clothes. He'll wear outrageous stuff often, and his job is online, so he wears his clothes often. Think Lady Gaga type of clothes. One day he's in a dress, and the next he's wearing a skin suit. This wasn't a problem until recently, when he started to drop off his son for carpool. My daughter goes to the same school. I used to drive both of them. However, since he started to do this, he just embarrasses his kid. My daughter refuses to carpool with him and wakes up early for the bus. Now, what I got from my daughter is he's known as the kid with the weird dad and bullied for it. She also informed me that she will not be helping him since she doesn't want it coming onto her since it's her uncle. I'm a little disappointed she won't stand up to them, but I also don't blame her for not wanting to get involved. It was a bad day, and my brother called me ranting that my daughter should have stood up for him. I told him the reason his kid is bullied is due to him, and he needs to send him on the bus or stop embarrassing him. He is pissed, I blame him, and is being against his artist freedom, and he thinks I'm a huge jerk. Hi, OP. You were not the beehole. What's got me laughing is your daughter waking up early to take the bus. You couldn't have got me to wake up early to take the bus, so his look must be extreme. Like if he's saying Lady Gaga. And Lady Gaga, I'm pretty sure Lady Gaga doesn't wear a bunch of crazy stuff in her normal everyday life, right? She has to, at home, she has to be in something comfortable, like some sweats and a shirt. And I also don't blame your daughter for not wanting to get into it. That's not her fight. You're not embarrassing her. That sucks that her family members getting bullied. And yeah, I mean, I get it, but she's a little girl. I'm pretty sure it's boys bullying the boy. I don't expect her to fight that battle, and this could easily have been solved if you would just wear some normal clothes to drop off the kid and pick up the kid. I'm not even saying don't wear your weird clothes, ever. Just when you're dropping off and picking up. I had to pick up my sister. It's not that long to pick up a kid. Oh, and looking in here, he's pissed I blame him for being against his artist freedom. Ugh, it makes me cringe to call myself an artist, but yeah, technically I paint and I draw. The little character I'm using, I created him myself. And God, that's so cringy. I don't know what to say with that. That type of stuff makes me cringe. Ugh. But yeah, you were not the beehole. You told him what was wrong. He knows what he needs to do to help his kid. and I don't know why he won't help his child. And he's over here blaming your daughter, your little kid. You don't blame the little kid. The little kid doesn't know how to handle this type of situation. Yeah, OP. I hope he figures it out, but from what it sounds like, he's never gonna figure it out. That poor kid. And our final one comes from Glasstier2525. Am I the beehole for not wanting to eat street food on vacation with my wife? Okay, so me and my wife are currently on vacation to our home country, here in Southeast Asia, and she really wanted to take me to street food stalls, which I would normally never eat at, but she convinced me to go with her. When we got there, it was really unhygienic. Like the guy wasn't even wearing gloves or anything, so I refused to eat it because, well, who knows where his hands have been. This caused my wife to be mad at me for being too posh and refusing to eat something because the guy wasn't wearing any gloves, which she claims is perfectly normal. She brought up a couple of other times I refused to do things with her because they weren't up to my normal standards. However, I think I was correct in this specific scenario because, well, I'm not eating food that some stranger without gloves or running water cooked. So, am I the beehole? Hi, OP. I'm gonna say you're kind of the beehole, like a light beehole, because I do get where you're coming from. I am a bit of a germaphobe myself. You should see me in public bathrooms. I don't want to touch anything or go near anything. But I've been to places where you eat off of food stalls or people on the road, and I've done it. I don't care. I don't know why it didn't faze me. Maybe it should have. But when it comes to food like that, man, just go for it. I doubt anything's gonna happen to you. And I also think it's really cute your wife's happy and excited to share her culture with you. Man, just eat the food. Like, do you really think fast food joints are that clean? You don't think employees? Come on, we have stories of employees spitting in food and showering in the sink and just touching things. You don't think? Come on now, you know those places are disgusting. And then, do you think gloves are gonna stop the spread of germs? They're not. It's honestly, I think you'd be probably better off eating at the food stall people, sometimes in some fast food joints. You don't think the chef in the back of those places forgot to wash his hands instead over there touching meats and breads and doughs to cook your food? I'd say, honestly, the food stall might be a little bit more hygienic when you think about it. I know the food truck people don't joke around with that type of stuff when I go get tacos on the side of the road, so I would assume same level. I mean, OP, like I said, I say where you're coming from. I'm a germaphobe, but man, suck it up and just eat the food. It's probably gonna taste amazing. Usually, I find when holes in the walls have the best food. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.